At the edge of Fogo Island, where the land meets the ocean, there's a large, bright red wooden platform that's part art, part environment. The Fogo Island Red Weather Station is the creation of Liam Gillick. He is a British artist living in New York City, and that's where I've reached him. So first of all, how does someone from Britain who is living in the U.S. end up creating art on a tiny island in eastern Canada?
Well, good question. Fogo Island actually has a quite sophisticated art center and structure there right now, called Fogo Island Arts. And it's basically running studios with artists from all over the world, but also specializing in younger artists from Canada and elsewhere. And so, it's already got a bit of a reputation internationally as a place for creative people to go to.
So where did your inspiration come from?
Oh, my inspiration absolutely came from the landscape and the combination of the landscape and the what you call the vernacular architecture, right, of the island, and also a kind of architecture that you find all over the Atlantic provinces and so on, which is the fishing stages, which are very elegant and but also rather efficient sort of structures that really appealed to me, and also the people, the people working on the island. They were the three inspirations: the landscape, the architecture, and the people.
And so there is a weather station attached to this art installation. So where are there other weather stations located?
Well, the island hasn't really had an official weather station for a long time. There were some private ones, which were but they weren't really feeding into the system. So people were getting information really from Gander if at some point. And I've heard that at certain periods it was as far away as St. John. So this is kind of a useful thing. It's being used. People are logging into the website and looking at it. But it's kind of feeding data into a broader global network.
So I know the National Gallery of Canada is a big part of this project, but why is this particular location, the Fogo Island area, of interest?
Well, Fogo Island has a front row seat, as a witness of climate change on a really concrete daily basis. And this is true all over the country, where, especially in isolated communities where people rely on the land or on the sea for a living, they can see the differences and they can sense them. So Fogo is a good place to be gathering data right now. It's a good place to have an accurate measurement of what's going on, to feed into a broader network. That's the key thing.
Yeah, and it's, as a fully functioning weather station, it has been lovely, especially as an addition for forecast verification. But tell me why you wanted to combine your art with weather monitoring.
I think it's a tough thing to say, but I think a lot of the art made about climate change can be a bit too abstract and a bit too, let's say, metaphorical. It sort of alludes to something in a very general way. I'm very interested in concrete data. I'm interested in the connection between science and art more broadly. And I think you can use art to kind of bring attention to the hard work that scientists, climatologists, meteorologists are doing. And it's a way of kind of pointing towards that often, daily grind of gathering data, crunching numbers, analyzing things. And I want to kind of draw attention to that. Art and science have always been linked in many ways historically. It's only in the modern period when art starts to separate. And I like the idea of kind of bringing those two areas together, not competing, but sort of like working side by side. I think this is a very productive thing to do.
So you're saying that your art installation is literally as a platform for a chat about climate change?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is very important, that we don't just keep trying to sort of lecture people, that we show them concrete work. We show them things that are actually happening. And I think this is a way that art can be useful in this regard, that I'm kind of trying to draw people towards something. And instead of pointing at a vague idea that can't really be, where you feel you can't do anything about it, I'm saying, well, actually, look, here we go. Here's a place we can actually go to it. You can gather there, you can talk, you can hang out, but also at the same time, you're part of part of something that's offering something, that's offering a tiny extra bit of information that'll help us understand what's happening and help us to maybe um, do something about it.
Liam Gillick, thanks for this. And if you want to check out Liam's weather station, it's online at fogoislandweatherstation.com.